Sponsored by the Dagama Group.
Welcome to Rumbo Minero. Welcome, Cesar. How are you?
How are you, Jorge?
My name is Jorge Leon Benavides, and together with Cesar Campos, we are going to develop this program of Rumbo Minero. To begin with, we are going to have an interview at the Ministry of Energy and Mines with the Minister Oscar Vera Gargurevich. We have a lot of questions to ask. Peru, Ventanilla Única, among other issues that we are going to discuss at the ministry, and among many other questions about the government's support to mining, Cesar.
That's right, Jorge. We will also have an interesting interview with Brendan Oviedo, President of the Peruvian Association of Renewable Energies. Now that the world is changing the matrix, and in Peru, apparently, there are problems to adapt to new technologies. We will discuss all this with Brendan Oviedo.
Let's listen now to the main mining news by Gabriela Chicoma.
Thank you, Jorge. These are the main mining news of the week. The portfolio of mining investment projects in Cajamarca registers $18,427 million and represents 34% of the total national investment in 6 projects: La Granja, Tantahuatay Expansion, Conga, El Galeno, Yanacocha Sulfides, and Michiquillay. Of this group, La Granja stands out with $5 billion of investment, said the Minister of Energy and Mines, Oscar Vera Gargurevich, together with his technical team during his presentation at the second extraordinary session of the Energy and Mines Commission of the Congress of the Republic held in Cajamarca, under the presidency of Legislator Segundo Quiroz. Mining directly employs more than 200,000 people per month, and the figures will be maintained during the next few years. According to data from the Ministry of Energy and Mines, only in September 2003, the sector employed 227,679 people.
Well, as we had announced, we are now at the Ministry of Energy and Mines with the Minister who has kindly attended us. Minister, how are you? Minister Oscar Vera Gargurevich, how are you, Minister?
How are you, Jorge? Very well. Thank you very much for coming here. I am pleased to welcome them and to be able to discuss the issues that pertain to the sector.
That's right. Rumbo Minero, always the idea is to be able to have the voice of who leads the mining sector, which is very important. We have a lot of questions, so we are moving forward, if that's okay, Minister, in the framework of the annual CADE 2023 conference. You stated that in approximately 1 month, the long-awaited digital one-stop shop would start operations. There have been different comments about the fact that we are not moving forward or are not moving forward as fast as we would like. Tell us firsthand this very important issue, as you have also seen it in the PDAC in Canada, for example, for investors, right, that we are taking a long time. Tell us a little bit.
Well, to inform you that indeed, since the launching of the digital one-stop shop was announced, we already have the leadership of the implementation with 10 executive sectors that have to do with permitting. Right, this
launching the one-stop shop now?
The window, yes, we are already
100%.
Yes, in the first stage, the exploration stage, yes, we are already running this blank already in coordination with ENA, because the miners are the ones who participate the most in this stage, and we are very optimistic, are we not, of being able to comply with the deadlines that we have set. As we know, the main objective is that, isn't it, precisely to reduce the times previously used for the permits, and above all to give the assurance to those who request these permits that there is a maximum time that this will take and that it will be complied with, isn't it?
Does this have to do, Minister, with the balance that was made, the action that the government has been carrying out jointly with President Dina Boluarte? Last Tuesday, you pointed out that environmental certifications have been granted to 10 mining exploration projects, which is an investment of $157 million. From September to October, 19 concession projects have been approved with exploration and exploitation benefits, which means an investment of $19,905,000,000. Of course, this is still to the extent that each one of these actions is implemented. And that on October 18th, the environmental certification of the Lasagna mining project was approved, which we were also waiting for, and that actually the people of Cajamarca were waiting for it. Does this have something to do with the progress of the single window?
Yes, of course. That is serving us as a model A of what we have to do for what we are already planning to do in this work, right? Actually, the good thing about this stage is, with the leadership of our President and Mr. Premier, it allows all sectors to work as one team. I understand that this was difficult before, and in this government things are very simple because of the good communication that exists in the different sectors and the involution of the staff, right? Technical, of each one of the sectors that are doing the job in the best way, right? Here at Minem, we have put together a whole team, and we have also reinforced ourselves with some specialists, both in the technical part related to permits as well as in the IT part. We want it to be an automated system, don't we? That the permits indeed that are being given, precisely as a consequence of the coordination we are having, are very close with the other agencies involved in permitting, right? While this is being implemented, the other continues, right? There are important achievements as announced projects, and I'm sure that by next year this will be a thing of the past, right?
Agreed.
And we know that this is going to motivate a lot the acceptance of investors to come to the country, right?
That is exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. The issue of investors, the President Dina Boluarte, ratified in San Francisco in the United States that Peru has open doors, clear rules for investment. What work is the Ministry of Energy and Mines doing to attract investors?
Yes, well, apart from participating in events, these international events where we can promote the goodness that our country has, right? As we know, we have very important resources to offer. There are hundreds of concession lands for mining activity at this time. In other words, we have a lot of, let's say, this land to be able to continue being explored and exploited. And this is a great advantage we have over other countries. We have a lot of reserves, right? As part of this work, we are also working at this moment. We have already reinforced our social management teams to have a presence in different places where there are conflicts, especially those that are identified, in such a way that we guarantee to the settlers the participation of the government, let's say, as a defender of their acquired rights according to the agreements that are handled. And on the other hand, this also to the private sector, to the company, to guarantee that, let's say, they will be fulfilled on the side of the settlers, or the same to say, to be a promoter and a catalyst to solve the conflicts. And let's see this as a common objective, right? In which at the end of the day, benefits will be achieved. As you know, the implementation of the one-stop shop is the program of promotion, isn't it? That it will provide guarantees and security to foreign investors, and that they will know that Peru, let's say, will no longer be a major problem in the permitting issue, right? Which suddenly generates expenses, time in investments, and that make investors change their decision.
The economic agents consider, Mr. Minister, that in effect we see the effort, we see the will, we see the desire, but there are also contradictory messages. For example, the Mining, Petroleum and Energy Society, the CONFIP itself, are calling on you and your sector regarding how the Petroperu issue is being dealt with, and it is believed that there is an unnecessary protection for Petroperu to continue managing some lots, as you yourself have announced. Of the 3 lots that have already been suspended, even the direct application so that Petroperu can work them, it will be able to manage them for 2 years and then call for a bidding process. What do you say in any case to these businessmen that it is not as your colleague, Minister Alex Contreras, says, that they have an absurd pessimism? It is a pessimism based on a rationality, is it not, on an emotional aspect?
Well, I think that more than anything, maybe it is a communication issue, right? The information we should be more fluent. It should be arriving by of all the companies that are in the sector. As you know, in the hydrocarbons area, there are several lots assigned to international companies. We have the case, if we talk about Talara, we have lot 5, lot 7, right, which are companies, let's say, that are not state-owned. They are private companies. Likewise, and in the jungle, we have lot 95 in charge of Petrotal, and lot 8, we also have a private company, right? And another lot that is about to start its operation, in which, such as lot 64, Peru is looking for a partner because it was assigned at some point in time to Peru by those who initiated the exploration, the Eastern companies that were there from the beginning. 292, which are also working with a specialized partner, specializing in the subject, right? With business in progress, in production. Look, there are 3 lots that effectively, according to what Peru Petro, this proposed, which was approved, let's say, in a supreme decree, have been passed on to Peru, which is the state precisely, this in order to, let's say, somehow be able to, which allows us to draw up contracts with greater, let's say, this expectation, perspective, right, to have a better use of resources later on, right? These are the 2-year contracts for now. We hope that in that time we will be able to go out to the corresponding processes.
Agreed.
And have the best efficiency to manage such important fields.
We would like you to give us some first-hand information on projects such as La Granja, Expansion, Tantahuatay, Conga, El Galeno, Yanacocha Sulfides, Nishiquillay, Tia Maria. We have a lot of projects, but precisely in this time of recession, right, the fact that we have a big new project, right, it is very important, just as Quellaveco was, and we need a new big project, right? What news do we have about these projects that are so important for Peru?
Well, we have been observing, and somehow our social management teams that are also monitoring how they are doing. This one, the agreements that the communications have with entrepreneurs, right? We are very optimistic. Now that we were in Australia, we talked with the CEO of MMG. He told us that they were going for Galeno. We are talking about the project in Cajamarca, about almost $3 million of investment. Right, and I think those aspects are what you are referring to, right? And also. Now that we were in Cajamarca this week, at the meeting we were invited to by the Energy and Mines Commission, we had an approach with the Nishiquillay communities, and they are also very much in agreement and are anxiously waiting for this project to be developed. We also listened to the representatives of Southern Company who informed about the projects they are managing, and that very soon they would be starting, let's say, this project. So we as a government are very optimistic, hoping that these lots, these projects that at some point have had some kind of social problem, that they are already quickly solved, so that, let's say, they start their activities.
Do you feel that people have realized more, let's say, have realized that mining is really important for the economic development of Peru? Because before we had a much stronger opposition, it seems to me, of mining against mining, but today my feeling is that people are reflecting on the importance, and one of those places is Cajamarca. Do you feel that?
Yes, and this time I have felt well marked, haven't I, when talking with the different community leaders, which I had the opportunity to do the day we arrived at night. And the next day at the meeting with the settlers, they themselves said so, didn't they? They had had a good period when Yanacocha was at its best in gold production, and they had realized that they had not taken good advantage of those moments, and they were asking for the execution of those projects themselves. So, I think that they have already become aware of it, and it is very favorable. We also And it is good that I mentioned it, isn't it? This year we have had events that we have organized precisely for leaders of communities, peasants, that near the mining centers, around 1,700 participants in different workshops we have done in the municipality in Lima to give them courses, showing them the advantages brought by the activity, the responsible mining investments such as the one we have now, mining. As you know, what we have against us is the issue of liabilities, large liabilities that exist in the country, more than 6,000 liabilities. In mining issues, and that generates problems in many towns, in places where there are practically no more people who worked in the mine. But there are problems because the rivers are somehow not in good conditions. And those people are the ones who are complaining, aren't they? We know that this is not the mining of today. It is a very responsible mining, and it precisely complies with the parameters established to take care of the environment, right? And that is precisely what we are transmitting to the inhabitants, telling them that this is the mining we are promoting now, a reinforced mining.
However, even so, there is a political controversy that you are going to have to face this coming week, Mr. Minister, which is the interpellation on November 29th regarding what is attributed to a private company, Aruntani SAC, of having polluted some rivers. But you are accused of inaction on the part of the ministry. At the same time, there is a fiscal investigation that has been opened, promoted by the Comptroller's Office, pointing out that when you were the operations manager of Peru, you had not complied with the time requirements of the years invested in the management in order to be able to resolve the matter. Could you tell us your response to these two summons?
Yes. Well, first of all, regarding the first thing, well, as you know, we have received those liabilities, which are not from now. They are liabilities that come from a long time ago. In each case, as mentioned in the question, we have been taking the corresponding actions from the moment we became aware of the problem, right? And we will possibly report, right, the actions we have taken. Because from the very first moment, the Minim team has been in the requested places, watching and verifying. What is happening is that there is still the idea that Minen has to deal with all the environmental issues related to environmental liabilities, right? As we know, there are several ministries with certain responsibilities, right? And let's say each one must assume what corresponds. Although, let's say there are actions that correspond to other sectors, but we have taken the same path. Because we are a promoting entity, right? But environmental and pollution issues correspond to other government agencies that have to work on it. However, this has been channeled. Regarding the second question, well, I am a professional with 40 years of experience in the sector, and you can see my trajectory. I have never had any kind of problems of any kind. And perhaps the information you mentioned is incomplete, isn't it? You have to see the information that follows that, right? Probably at that time, some complaint was made about it, but then the answer was supplemented. That is why I continue in the position, right? Otherwise, I would not have been able to continue.
Agreed.
It is part of the political show that is going on now. You see a part and you don't see the whole picture.
All right, Minister. Well, the end has come. Thank you very much for having us for this interview. Peru has to do well, and Peru is a mining country. It depends a lot on mining. And yes, more action is needed with respect to the declarations of what may come, right? And we are looking forward to this news that you say there will soon be about mining projects and about different things that Peru really needs with this recession. We thank you very much for attending us for the program Rumbo al Minero.
I would like to say a few brief words in conclusion. It is important to acknowledge the work of this government. As you may remember, when we started our government, Peru was almost paralyzed due to the road blockades, and mining was also paralyzed. These were important effects for the country, and we know that what Peru has lost the most in these years is precisely at the time of the claims at the beginning of the year, right? If we look at today's picture, it is totally different. We are already talking about the fact that we are going to surpass the record of copper sales, of exports in mining, And we are also talking about exactly the other sectors due to the number of projects we are developing. Not only this one in mining, but also this one in electricity and also in hydrocarbons, right? So this is, I think it is, we have to see the whole panorama from the beginning to date, and recognize the great effort and work made by all the government sectors to achieve this point, right? Because it has not been easy. It is a daily work with different scenarios, different problems. We travel almost every day to all the corners of the country, taking works, taking projects. Our president accompanies us also to inaugurate electrification works all over the country where perhaps they never arrived before other governments. So it is important to look at that too, isn't it?
Agreed.
I do not want to interrupt. It is well deserved for the president's government to recognize our work.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thanks to you.
Well, this one, we were here at the Ministry of Energy and Mines with Minister Oscar Vera Gargurevich for this interview. Go ahead, e-studies.
Expomina Peru, the largest and most important mining event in Peru in 2024, with 16 years of experience, do business with the mining sector of Peru and America. Expomina Peru from September 11 to 13, 2024 at the Jockey Lima Exhibition Center. Portfolio of mining projects in Peru for more than $53 million and portfolio of mining projects in America for $450 million. Invest with the leaders. Participate in Expomina Peru 2024. For more information, check our website www.expominaperu.com.
Digama Group launches the new international multi-platform, Rumbo Minero America Mining, aimed at mining suppliers and mining company executives in Peru and throughout the Americas. It announces in the leading magazine, Rumbo Minero, its best business tool in the mining sector. More information at www.rumbominero.com.
Well, we now meet Brendan Oviedo. He is president of the Peruvian Renewable Energy Association. We are going to talk about the regulation of the electricity market in Peru. Brendan, how are you? Welcome to Rumbo Minero.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Brendan, tell us currently the regulation of the electricity market in the country has not been adapted to the new technologies of electricity generation, clean and cheap electricity used in the world. So it has become a barrier to regulatory, which only allows generation with hydroelectric and thermoelectric technology, and it excludes all the others. What is the reason this issue, in your opinion? What needs to change so that we don't have this problem?
Yes, well, thank you for the question. Actually, our regulation comes first from '92, where the market was liberalized, and later a second reform in 2006. And since 2006, there has been an incredible technological evolution, specifically in wind and solar technology, that have reduced their costs by almost 80%. And specifically in Peru, we have an extraordinary world potential. That is, we could say that we have one of the most efficient wind power plants in the world. We have solar radiation, one of the best solar radiation in the world, jointly in the south of Peru with the north of Chile. So we have a diversity of resources that, due to the use and technological evolution, have become very efficient. Unfortunately, the regulation, as I said, has not accompanied, and it is essential to make small regulatory changes to allow the entry of these new technologies.
When we talk about regulation, Brendan, we talk about the execution of the regulation or the regulatory framework. How do you see the regulatory framework? If it has limitations, what innovations could be made?
Yes, the regulatory framework has been evaluated from the platform of the Ministry of Energy and Mines in a commission called Comisión Multisectorial de Reforma del Subsector Eléctrico, a very long name, since 2019. And in this commission, proposals have already been made for changes, for regulatory modifications, and basically aimed at not even to promote a particular technology, but to open the market to competition. And for this purpose, they have proposed a couple of modifications, some modifications, not a couple, which have been reflected in an opinion. The ministry has submitted a bill to the Energy and Mines Commission, which already has a favorable opinion. And why We are waiting for this opinion to be discussed in the plenary. And what is the purpose of these regulatory changes? They specifically seek, let's say that the distributors buy electricity on behalf of all the regulated users, which are us, to be able to get the best price in these bids, right? That the generators compete to get the best price to pass them on to us, the regulated users.
Now, the free competition of the Peruvian electricity market, in your opinion, what would be the impact it would have or the problems it could have?
Well, free competition does not harm anyone. I believe that, on the contrary, it benefits, and that is why since 1992, the market has been liberalized to attract new investors and generate competition. Competition has been successful in the Peruvian electricity market. There has been a development of hydroelectric generation. It generates thermoelectric generation basically with natural gas, but unfortunately, it has not accompanied the planning, the organization of the sector. And that has generated that 80% of all the electricity generation in the country comes from the center of the country and is almost concentrated in only two sources, hydroelectric and thermoelectric. And what is the effect of that? The effect is that when there is a coastal child or a child like the one that is coming, there will be less rainfall in the center where all the hydroelectric generation is concentrated, and we will have to burn diesel. And what happens when you burn diesel? The price of the marginal cost goes up, and that has a direct effect on the contracts, right? That large users like the miners have, because the generators, basically what they do is try to mitigate the risk of their contracts with the market prices.
You alluded to the rains, and we are facing the imminence of a very strong impact of the El Niño phenomenon, which produces a lot of rains, a lot of precipitations in the north, as well as droughts. And this is obviously going to influence energy costs. How should this issue be addressed from your perspective, and what is the right thing to do?
What needs to be done immediately is to modify the regulation to diversify the sources. In an electricity system, or rather a country's economy cannot depend on two sources, especially if one of them depends on a climatic situation that is affecting us, i.e. lack of rainfall, because El Niño comes with rain in the north but drought in the center. So the center is precisely where our main hydroelectric source is, isn't it? And on the other hand, we also depend on a single pipeline, gas pipeline. Anything happens with that natural gas pipeline when there is no rain, so we are burning diesel at $200 megawatts. Therefore, we need to change the regulatory structure to allow the entry of new technologies and diversify the source.
I was asking at this moment, that is...
Yes, at this moment, unfortunately, we are going to reap years of lack of energy planning, of looking and preparing ourselves and trying to mitigate that risk. The only thing left now is to prepare ourselves for the medium or short term, modifying this regulation and developing the projects that are now in the portfolio.
Now, to finish this one, let's talk a little bit about Latin America. It lives a current scenario marked by dilemmas related to the use of energy. The coming to power of progressive governments in the region has fueled the debate on the use of renewable energies, although countries such as Chile and Colombia have focused their efforts on the production of green hydrogen and other alternative energy sources. The truth is that electricity rates are still far from reaching stable and affordable prices for all. Rising inflation, raw material prices, and even natural disasters alter the cost of an essential public service for Latin American families. We cannot forget the fact that there are countries that traditionally rely on subsidies to a greater or lesser extent. So here the question would be, what is your analysis of what is currently happening in Latin America with respect to how this market, this energy market, is moving?
The energy market, that is to say, the basic concept behind everything is that we have to secure our sources. We have to try to become internationally independent because, for example, when there was the problem, the war in Ukraine, the costs of all hydrocarbons went up. Now that there is a war in the Middle East, an armed conflict in the Middle East, the cost of all hydrocarbons will also go up. If we depend on hydrocarbons, as we depend on them due to lack of water or due to a problem of the natural gas production system, of electricity generation with natural gas, we are going to have to burn diesel at high prices. And that has an effect on the whole economy. So we have a much larger renewable potential than Chile. Chile has been, with investments in the last years for a good energy planning of more than $2 billion a year investment. So we have a huge potential for green hydrogen production. Green hydrogen is produced using renewable energy. That's why it's green and it's sustainable. So I think we have a unique opportunity to be able to attract a lot of investment to benefit all our sectors. Mining is now a sector that already requires renewable energy because of climate commitments that have been adopted at the matrix level.
At the same time, it is strategic with the copper production that we have to produce more copper in Peru. We have to expand the projects and to move forward with the projects so that we can feed back, right?
And that is why it is so important to try to avoid burning diesel at such high prices, because the contracts that the miners have right now should be at much lower prices than diesel, which will generate that the generator will want to try to renegotiate its contract and even terminate it, which has been happening. The contracts have been terminated by the generators due to the high costs of the market.
Okay, Brendan, thank you so much for being with us. As always, very interesting. We'll be together at Expomina. With us was Brendan Oviedo, President of the Peruvian Association of Renewable Energies. Gabriela Chicoma has an Expomina announcement for us. Go ahead, Gabriela.
Thank you very much. Expomina Peru, the largest and most important mining event of the 2024 with 16 years of trajectory, with the special participation of the United States as guest mining country. Expomina Peru is the only Peruvian event certified by the United States Department of Commerce. Do not be left out and be part of this great mining event. Reserve your booth at Expomina Peru. For more information, visit our website, www.expominaperu.com.
Well, coming to the end of the program, Cesar, I think, interesting interview with the minister, right?
Well, yes, Mr. Oscar Vera Gargurevich, as always, Jorge, is optimistic about the progress that his sector considers is being made in unblocking several projects and mining the Petroperu issue, where his heart is also imposed by means of his identity with this state-owned company, but which receives and will still receive a lot of criticism for what may still be the prospect of a very, very large economic loss.
We have to take action, don't we?
And you have to get down to action,
to
right?
The action, that is, to the one-stop shop issue. A date is set, but how is the issue, right? That is to say, because there are the ministries, other ministries, such as the Ministry of the Environment, which is not helping at all.
And despite the fact that the issue of Tia Maria has not yet been clarified, something that we have also insisted on in this interview with the minister,
Tia Maria,
we here at Rumbo Minero are going to maintain the flag that we must indeed put on our pants to move forward with Tia Maria, which will not only benefit the environment of the area where this mining unit operates, but fundamentally the country as a whole.
Also, in a time of recession, mining is definitely moving the needle.
It is proven.
And, well, Brendan Oviedo, as always, very interesting, very technical also on the subject of the regulation of the Peruvian electricity market, right?
Indeed, yes.
Very interesting. It has been a very constructive program with a lot of information, and I think we are going to wait a few weeks to see what happens with the issues of the Minister of Energy and Mines. On behalf of the Degama Group, we thank you for being with us, both Cesar Campos and Jorge Leon Benavides. Don't forget, in a few minutes, we will be with the Peru Construi program to talk about everything related to construction and infrastructure. Thank you very much.